and outside we see Dawn towering over Amy. Dawn's face is grinning and mean, and her sneaker is already hovering over Amy as the witch turns up in fear.
Freaking bum!
With a sploosh, Amy is driven into the muddy ground outside the castle, her hand the only thing visible from under Dawn's foot. The battle won for the moment, Willow floats up near Dawn's head, magic shown coming from her hands as though working on something. Dawn looks much calmer as she looks down at what Willow is doing.
Language, sweetie. How come you're a giant?
We totally have to talk. Are you evil again?
It'll fade.
We see a wider view, Dawn with a hand on her hip against the night sky and Willow hovering beside her. Slayers on the ground are watching as Willow works. Willow has contained Amy in a glowing green box and is levitating her off the ground. Willow's hair has already turned red again.
She just really pissed me off.
Back in the dream space, Buffy is standing under a curve of red metal bars.
This is what you wanted to show me? Along those lines, what is this?
No.
As Ethan continues, we get a wider look. Ethan is sitting with his arm across his knee, reclining on a pile of newspaper. Buffy is actually standing inside a metal wheel, like a hamster or rat cage.
We've gone too far back.
Buffy and Ethan both stand, Buffy brushing her hair off her ear as she appears to recognize her surroundings.
Whoa, whoa! I know all this. This is Amy's cage. Amy's doing this?
I didn't know her name.
As Buffy looks around, the surroundings appear to have changed into a sort of slimy cave. The whole image is shown in the same red hues that the dream cubes were. Ethan explains from behind her.
I can't see outside myself, but I connected with her, and she saw me. I think you're here. Look about.
Buffy does so, walking around with a hand on the wall. The surface looks almost sinewy. On the ground, a creature with an axe lays dead or inanimate. It appears to be a Gamorrean guard, the pig monsters from Return of the Jedi.
Nice place. I'm starting to miss my giant dragon.
In a new image, Ethan is shown standing in a cage or cell. The three walls are made up for beams shaped like the letter X. Ethan appears to be unaware of it, however.
So what are you doing in there?
Where am I?
Cage. Crossbeams. Like X's? So this all, what, means something?
Buffy is touching her chin thoughtfully as she thinks aloud.
3 X's? Triple X? So it's either Vin Diesel or porn? Neither of which is real attractive.
In a new image, Ethan is standing next to Buffy again. His face is thoughtful and hers is a little confused.
I'm more an antique Roman than a Dane.
Did I mention? I'm not crazy good at symbolism.
Just remember what you see here.
As he says this, Ethan turns to look right at Buffy.
Twilight is falling. You're going to need all the help you can get, Pet.
And then we are back in Buffy's room, looking down at her on her bed. Her arms and legs are no longer bound, and her arms are crossed across her stomach. Fittingly enough, she could be Sleeping Beauty. Next to her bed, Willow and Xander are staring down at her. Xander's arms are crossed tightly, and he's clearly worried. Willow looks thoughtful. Behind them, Leah is visible watching, and Dawn's eye can be seen looking in the window from outside.
Serious magic is kind of like improv, Dawn. You can't just stop it cold. You gotta adapt.
Is that why I've got an army of undead playing Pride and Prejudice around my ankles?
Don't worry. As soon as the ball's over, they'll leave.
A close-up of Willow shows her looking down sympathetically at Buffy.
She looks tired.
In a wider look, Xander still has his arms crossed. Willow is gently placing her hand on Buffy's waist. Behind them, Leah is not alone. Several other Slayers have arrived.
She's asleep.
You know what I mean.
It's been a long year, and you've been where now?
We'll talk. This is a true love spell.
Rumor has it. How do we deal?
We can see the faces of everyone in the room, and Dawn's outside the window as Willow lays it out for them. Amy wasn't lying, and everyone in the room looks a little stunned.
Buffy needs to be kissed by someone who's in love with her.
As we look at Buffy's face close up, Willow makes an even more awkward announcement.
And someone in this room is.
The faces of all the Slayers look between each other. Xander is still looking toward Willow and Buffy from near the foot of the bed. Willow looks actually angry as she turns around to speak to everyone in the room at once.
They might not have even realized it, and they probably don't want anyone to know about it. So everyone's going to shut their eyes and keep them shut if they want to keep them. And that person will step forward and give Buffy a kiss.
We look at Xander's face in close-up as Willow speaks to the room next to him. He looks like something is weighing on him, but there's no telling what it is. Back in the dream space, Buffy touches her fingers to her lips.
I have a funny feeling on my mouth.
And in her bedroom, Buffy sits up suddenly. Xander looks startled from beside her at the head of the bed, and Willow is smiling.
Cinnamon buns!
In a close-up, Buffy looks a little embarrassed to see all these people in her room.
I just had the weirdest. Will?
In a much different scene, a demon like the ones that Buffy fought on her mission in issue number 1 is standing in a torchlit tunnel speaking to a man. The man is sitting on a bench or throne that appears to be made of or surrounded by human skulls.
We are not amused.
Said the demon. In a close-up, we see the man as Giles. He doesn't look at all intimidated by the demon.
No one's exactly giggling on this side of the fence either.
The demon leans in close to Giles, clearly upset. Giles begins to clean his glasses as they go on speaking.
3 of our brutes slain.
They broke protocol.
They were lured out there.
I think they were, yes. Someone engineered that conflict and sacrificed 2 young men in the process. I think we need to know who.
Giles puts his glasses back on and produces a piece of paper that he hands to the demon. The paper has a mysterious symbol the gang has been researching.
This symbol is meaningless to us, and we are not convinced this is not some Slayer trick. We have ever been enemies.
And ever shall be. We'll come to grips one day, but on a day we choose. We'll not be led there like cattle. Right now, information benefits both of us. If you learn anything.
Giles takes back the paper from the demon and stares at it levelly. The image changes to Italy, where Andrew is talking on a phone with one hand and holding what appears to be a poker hand in the other.
We would so tell you about it. Seriously, we got nothing going on here. I've looked through so many books, I've got parchment fingers. But my mom used to order this special dermatologic soap because hoisin sauce makes me rashy.
Just keep an eye out.
Xander said through the phone. Back in Scotland, Xander is walking alone down a corridor, talking to Andrew on his Bluetooth.
Oh, we're on alert. You think Amy's attack and the symbol are linked?
Just a whole lot of question marks coming up at the same time. Wanted to make sure you weren't seeing any action.
I wish. We're just trying to think of games to stay awake in Dolphsville, Italy.
Xander arrives at his destination. He's looking in the doorway of their infirmary. Inside, Slayers are treating each other's wounds from the ferocious zombie battle.
Sounds good enough to me.
No, trust me.
Back in Italy, Andrew is still holding his poker hand, and behind him, several Slayers are playing around a table. The game must be strip poker since more than a few of the athletic young women are down to their underwear, and one is reaching around to unhook her bra. On a couch off to the side, another Slayer is reading a comic book titled Frey.
You'd be bored stiff.
In the Slayer infirmary, on a bed alone in an alcove, Renee is laying over on one side. She's bandaged up from several wounds, including the stab wound to her back. Her clothes are somewhat torn. Her face looks inconsolable as she ignores the other Slayers moving around behind her. In the next image, she is turning her head as she hears Xander talking to her.
Well, this is really unimpressive.
Xander turns a chair around backwards and takes a seat on it at the foot of Renee's bed as he continues speaking.
One attacked by the undead, and Renee has to take a nap. Oh, poor me. I'm all run through with a broadsword. I have to lie around and heal. You know, back in my day, which was about a week and a half ago, we took our lumps and we got up and cried like babies and quit and put on weight.
In the next image, Renee is rolling onto her back to sit up.
I should have seen him coming. They should have never got over the wall. We lost girls because of...
Oh, are you still talking?
A close-up of Xander shows him placing his chin on his hands over the chair back. He is smiling reassuringly as he talks.
You mess up and Buffy will kick your ass. Unless she's in a mystical coma, of which case I, or a qualified representative, will kick your ass. You raised the call and you stood your ground. Solid soldiering. Now shut up and heal.
Renee is smiling mildly in her own close-up. She looks reassured. Her expression may reveal a small crush on Xander.
You're so butch.
Almost a kind of masculine vibe, don't you think?
Elsewhere in the castle, Buffy and Willow are in a dungeon where Amy is being held. The room has no furniture other than a wooden wardrobe against a wall. Buffy is changed into more modest pajama pants and robe. Amy is held unconscious in a spell similar to what Giles used on Dark Willow to confine her. Willow is hovering in front of her, using magic to try to get some insight into Amy's power and motives.
She teleported here. I'm gonna run a trace, see where she came from.